Okay, sorry about that. My name is Brian Johnson. I'm from Seattle. I'm a front-end developer at Yahoo Sports. And I am going to tell you a short story about my last year or so. So I recently got married, and part of that, thank you, part of that involves also buying a house, because I've become a grown-up now. By house, I mean a condo, by the way. Also very important in my life is I got a new TV. And I port scan my TV, because that's what you do. And then I started getting into home automation, and I discovered that this is a huge, crazy world. I don't know, does anybody here tinker with home automation stuff? Are people here familiar with Zigbee, Z-Wave, and all these kinds of things, and some of the platforms that are available? So for the few of you, this might be maybe boring, but hopefully not. The other big thing this year is Internet of Things became a real word. I don't know why. It's something that a lot of us have basically been tinkering with for a very long time. We're playing with gadgets. We're getting them to talk to other gadgets. And I got a Raspberry Pi, which is also a pretty big deal to me. I like it. And I started playing with Node.js, and that involves compiling Node.js onto my Raspberry Pi. So the Internet of Things is a very quick summary to go over kind of what it is, how it works, and all that. And the idea is that you have a device, and it connects to the cloud, and that cloud can talk to other things. So you can take something like your egg tray. Quirky makes an egg tray that tells you how many eggs you have. And it talks to the cloud. So the cloud knows how many eggs you have and when they're going to go bad. And it also knows when you should eat them based on the order of how long they've been in the egg tray. Super cool, kind of. But the idea is that you're starting to have these then interconnected pieces. So there's a thing called automatic, and it's a dongle for your car's ODB2 port, which tells the cloud, oh, you're driving your car, you're getting this kind of gas mileage and all that. And for some people, if you want to know that when you start your car, it goes through IFT, and it sends you a push notification that you need to pick up eggs. Like, you can do these types of things. A lot of the things that they're trying to market as really cool things that you can do are things you probably don't want to do. But you can. It's cool. I've kind of broken things up between what I call monolithic platforms and micro platforms. And things that are the monolithic platforms are the things that are trying to control your life. They're trying to say, we are everything. And there's a lot of really big companies that are doing this. So AT&T is a big one. Lowe's has their own. And Staples has their own. And these control your lights, your smoke detectors, and everything else. And they all do a pretty good job to varying degrees. The one that I've been using is SmartThings. I've enjoyed it. None of these platforms is perfect because they're trying to control a whole lot of moving parts. And that isn't always easy. So they always have some failings, and we'll go over that in a little bit. And then the other part of this is what I like to call the micro platforms. And these are the things that are very specific to do one certain task. And these include things like, and some of you might have these. The automatic is a car dongle I mentioned before. The Nest thermostat and smoke detectors, the Wemo, and even the Jawbone Up is kind of an Internet of Things. It's telling when you're walking, it pushes that to the cloud, and we can use that data. IFT is kind of a very special case because it doesn't actually control anything. It tries to be the glue that sticks some of these together, and it's pretty cool. I put YQL in there because it's just an API. You can draw data. So your stocks are something that is one of your things. So there's no reason that that shouldn't be included. Your weather is one of your things, and it involves you and is part of your life. And we have this cool, quirky egg minder. It's a really cool device. They have a great app. I don't know. I don't know why you'd want it. Is there a question?
How many eggs a day do you eat?
I'm the perfect target audience for this product because I eat like half a dozen eggs a day. And because I love eggs, and I love the internet, and I love Internet of Things and gadgets, and I still don't want to buy this thing. It's cool, though. I don't know. So here's kind of my short summary about the Internet of Things and kind of where I see are the biggest drawbacks. We can allow this now. So you have your device, and this is maybe a Z-Wave switch, which is kind of a mesh network, low latency, like just quick messages like, hey, I'm on, hey, I'm off. And that's kind of a typical home automation system uses Inceon, Z-Wave, or Zigbee. And these are protocols you can read about later. They're pretty basic. They usually have to talk to a device that also talks in that same protocol. That hub then has to talk to your router and say, OK, your light turned on. That goes to the hub that transfers it to TCP. It goes to your router and says, OK, the light's turned on. Let's send this to the cloud. And that cloud could go to Amazon Web Service. It could go to any proprietary cloud service. So it goes through all this process to get to the cloud, and the cloud's like, oh, OK, your light's on. And then it's like, all right, let's turn on the light. And so then it crunches whatever numbers. So if you have a light switch and you want to turn on a light on the other side of your house without using hard wires, you can do that. But then the message has to come all the way back through. So there's a couple problems here. For one, you're pushing all your information into the cloud. That introduces some security questions if you are paranoid. It introduces a lot of latencies if you're impatient like me, and some stability issues. If your internet goes down, you're not turning on your lights. That kind of sucks, because I've had that happen and my wife wasn't stoked. So this kind of goes over what I talked about, security and snooping. If the NSA, if you care if they know how many eggs you have, you might have some concerns about this. If you care that it takes 2 seconds for the cloud to know that you ate an egg, that's not a big deal. But if you care that it takes 2 seconds from you turning a light on, like hitting a switch and a light turning on, that gets kind of annoying. And when Amazon Web Service goes down, you're just sitting in the dark. So this is my talk about the Intranet of Things. And that's the idea is that we're going to start taking things away from the cloud and kind of trying to keep them more centralized. And the reasons are kind of before security and mostly latency and stability. Things like the egg tray probably aren't going to work because those have to talk to the cloud. Those are specialized devices that talk to the cloud and they connect through Wi-Fi and say, this egg is gone. It doesn't talk through any open protocol that's easy to hack, so it's usually easier to talk to their APIs. But security is built in, privacy is better assured, and lag isn't as big of a worry because you're on a really fast home network. If your server goes down, which is my Raspberry Pi, restart it, dummy. So I was trying to think about when I got this Raspberry Pi, I installed Node, I was looking for a big project to work on that kind of was inspiring, that would keep me excited for a long time. And I started to port scan basically everything in my house. I have a whitelist MAC address of devices that are allowed on my Wi-Fi network, and that was my starting point. I kind of looked at we had a Roku, we had a Samsung TV, I had computers, and I had a camera just to hack with, which I'll show in a little bit. And that was my starting point. So I started kind of port scanning, looking at documentation and APIs that were available. And in terms of the actual Samsung TV, which was really the first big project I kind of tackled with it, is that I searched around online for my TV. And I found some documentation of people like, oh, I found this in some obscure SDK somewhere. And I ported it to Perl. And it works, kind of. And it has 3 codes. I can turn my TV off and change the channel up, and I can turn it to mute. And they did some amazing things, right? There's no way I would be able to kind of proceed without that background and the backstory. But then I found another forum where this fellow's like, I don't know what this is, but I found this whole list of commands. So obviously, a light bulb went off. And so here's the port scan on my TV. That's got more ports open than I can think of any device ever needing ever. But the one I'm worried about right here is the 5100. That's the one I'm going to try and screw with. So the problems with integrating, this is kind of a pain with these devices. They're not meant to be hacked like this, and I don't know why, because it seems like a great selling point that it can be integrated into apps. But you tell your TV, hey, I want the volume to go up, and it says, iApp.samsungd. And you're like, cool, got it. Channel, turn down, please. Okay, iApp Samsungd. And then you're like, okay, well, let's change source maybe. And it's like, yeah. iApp.samsungd. So it basically tells you, I'm alive and I heard you. That sucks. And I wish I was here presenting a solution to this. I'm just saying it sucks. So then I started looking at devices that aren't online or devices that just I couldn't hack. My stereo, it operates through infrared, but it also connects to my TV, and that connection is through HDMI, which has CEC. That gives you some basic controls. My PlayStation 3, well, you can't really control that. It's pretty locked down, but maybe Bluetooth. And I discovered this guy, I think he's in France, created this software suite for Windows and Linux that allows you to basically pretend you're a PlayStation controller. And it's meant for gamers so that they could have a keyboard and mouse and play a PlayStation game. I don't know why you wouldn't just plug it into your PlayStation, but he made the software and it's actually really nice. And I wrote to him and I was like, this is great, but how can I just send a command? He's like, you can't. And then 2 days later, he's like, yeah, here's a binary. And then I was like, here's $25, thanks. And then you have Node.js that's running on Windows, Mac, or Linux, or whatever. And so you can just do the pass through of a command to a Unix command to say, hey, just do this thing. So you can have your TV remote go through eSpeak or say, and it can talk to you if you want. And that's pretty simple, pretty brain dead. So this is my Raspberry Pi. It's running my TV remote. And so this is my speaker. It's not headphones anymore, it's an actual speaker. So it can talk or play MP3s or do whatever. And this is my Bluetooth dongle that connects to my PlayStation. The only tip if you want to hack your PlayStation like this, make sure you research which Bluetooth dongle you get because you need to be able to write to the MAC address because you're basically doing MAC spoofing. And then here, it's kind of hard to see, but this is a daughter board for the GPIO pins on a Raspberry Pi, and it is a Z-Wave controller. And I wish I had more to talk about. I installed it. That's as far as I've gotten yet. So I'll maybe come back and talk later. So let's try and do a live demo. I've heard these always work really well. All right, so this is my living room. This is a live shot of my TV because this is not creepy at all. And so here I have a VPN to my house. And I wish I could show the interface on the TV because it's really awesome, but I can't. I can't connect. But it's kind of normal input commands. So what I can do here is, you won't be able to hear it, but I think I just turned on my PlayStation. That's this guy here. And these are the remotes that I set up for display. They're usually put away because I don't use them anymore. And so my TV just turned on from 1,000 miles away. And so that was going through the MAC address spoofing. That's not like a Node cool thing. It's just like, hey, run this Unix command. So far what you've seen, not that cool.
Is your wife aware you're doing this right now?
She's out of the house, yes. I had to explain to both her and the dog walker that, like, okay, there's a camera in the living room, and I'm not creepy, I promise.
Scramble an egg?
No, not from here. So here you don't have sound, but I may as well turn on my stereo. So here it just executed 3 commands. So I can say, do this command, comma, this command, comma, this command. And so what that does is on the Node.js server, it goes through and parses through and says, oh, these are the commands you want to run. We're going to just execute them to whatever device controller you specified. And here it's to my Samsung TV, and it just opens WebSockets and starts sending commands. And the TV thinks it's an iPhone app. And so you can see here the light on my soundbar turned on, so that means my stereo's on. And so, I don't know if you guys want to watch TV right now. It's kind of washed out, so you can't really see what's going on. But you can cruise around, do whatever. You have pretty much every basic control. For this view, I have just kind of the controls I use. If I view this on a bigger display, it'll show me number pad, the record and play buttons and all that. But I don't use them on my phone, so I just use responsive design to get rid of them. And then here, because I want to view a web page on my TV from there through my phone, I open my web browser. I can't explain it, I don't know. And it's too washed out to see, but that's a web browser on my TV. So here we'll switch source just because I can. Let's go back to the PlayStation. So here, it's really hard to see, but apparently I was playing Grand Theft Auto. I've always heard demos go really well, too.
Turn on that light. I can't see if it doesn't work, so just pretend like it does. Can you close your blinds with
I can't. This isn't through Node, but I can turn on the light. But that doesn't help. Maybe it does a little bit. Let's leave it there. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Let's see. So So the one problem with the binary with the PlayStation is that it makes a connection through the Bluetooth to your device, and if that connection has any latency or attenuation, it kind of just chokes all over itself, which it seems to be doing right now. So that's not as cool as I thought it would be. But I do have, when I'm in my living room, have better control of this, and I'm able to kind of surf around and execute commands. Make sure that my VPN didn't drop. And so that is basically the gist of my remote. Like I say, it has things like text-to-speech that are built in. I have it hooked up to this same camera. So if you want to go a little Inception, I have a TV controller so I can actually drive it around. I don't know why you'd want to. And it's all controlled from my phone. It also sends SMS and has pushover notifications. And you might think, like, why would you want that in your TV remote? And I don't have a good answer. It's just cool to build. But my remote's also checking stocks for me whenever the market's open, checks them every 15 minutes. If it hits between a bounds, it'll send me a message. I could have it turn on a light if I wanted. The idea with Intranet of Things is it's not so much about my interest in building things that are particularly useful. It's just me wanting to do things. So that is the short demo. And now I'll turn off my TV in the stereo in the PlayStation. Thanks, Mom. And so thank you. That went better than I was expecting, but if you want to see another demo, this is a pre-recorded video just in case all hell broke loose. So kind of getting to, does it work? My wife uses it. That's cool, right? That's got to mean something when your wife uses your Raspberry Pi. I don't think a whole lot of people could say that. But this is just something I've thrown together. It's fun for me. I'm tinkering and playing around. I'm learning and breaking things. But you're welcome to look at it. So looking forward, I just want to do more stuff, connect more things, do things. I want an egg minder to talk to my car, and I don't have a good reason why. I'll figure it out later. I want to talk to those other systems like Insteon or SmartThings or whatever I can get my hands on. I want to keep learning. And that's my universal controller.
Questions?
Question?
Sure.
I did this for 3 years, so I feel your pain.
Right.
It's a horrible, horrible place. And I think the fundamental problem is because everyone wants their own protocol. They think they know exactly the right way to do it, and this is the way you're going to do it.
Right.
And so no one can ever speak to one another. What do you feel is like the best way to solve this?
Well, what I'm trying to do is if everybody talks in different languages, that sucks. I've been talking to some manufacturers and saying, like, why don't you actually do this the proper way? They're not going to listen. So the best you can do is work with them, right? So my Samsung TV, I don't know what source it's on. I don't know what volume is. I don't know what the channel is. And those are things that could be valuable to me. But if they won't give it to me, I can't use it. All I can say is if you can build an abstraction that kind of hides most of that garbage, you're doing your job. Yeah.
For the cloudy apps, have you thought about trying to sniff the traffic and see if maybe you'd be lucky, it posts
right.
Slot number 1 got empty, and you can spoof it, you listen for it on your Pi, so you can run it.
Right. So the question was, have I thought about sniffing traffic as it comes through, as it goes to the cloud? And oftentimes, you might be able to siphon some data. Like your Jawbone up is connected to your phone that's on your Wi-Fi, and so that has to go through and go up to the cloud. Most of the value is done in the cloud for a lot of those systems. Certainly not everyone, but part of that is how much time do you want to spend working with your egg minder to get your light to turn on because it worked. And in most cases, there's certainly possibilities there, but I think that the biggest thing is that a lot of these services have built APIs that are just really robust. So Quirky actually has really good APIs to use. So if your internet goes down and you don't know how many eggs you have, that's probably fine. But if it's something that's mission critical and you wanted that immediate response, that's maybe worth spending the time for. But I haven't really dug into it.
But
But if you can sniff your in-count traffic, then they're not encrypting your in-count traffic. So
that's true.
They're just splattering all your data all around the web.
Right. Question?
So what percentage of this whole system at your house is actually Node?
Everything is entertainment based. So the light wasn't, but the TV remote, I have Samsung TV works just fine. Panasonic TV works just fine. I think Andreas is using it. So does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, so it works. LG TV kind of works, but they have some authentication things I have to work through. I'll probably do it this weekend. And so those work. I have FozzCam, like Pushover and Twilio and a few other things, a PlayStation. But the idea is that I don't have a lot of devices, so it's like everything that I can touch, I've tried to get on here. But now I'm starting to beg, borrow, and steal. So, yeah. Question?
Since we're in LA, we looked into any of the stuff that Belkin is doing, with switches and different things that are connected to all sorts of different.
Right. So Belkin has the Wemo wall plugs and switches and all that, and those all go through Wi-Fi. And as far as I know, again, I think it goes up to the cloud. So you can certainly get into their API, but actually sniffing that traffic internally, like I say, there's going to be encryption. It's going to be kind of a pain. But they have really good APIs from what I understand. So
they seem like somebody who can eventually bring this to more average consumers.
Right, and there's a lot of promise with Belkin and Nest especially. Those companies are making home automation actually seem cool instead of like people with Arduinos thumbtacked to their walls. So that was one of the rules. Being married, you can't do that. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.